This post is about the definition of zero day, and thanks to Ian in Germany for suggesting this topic. So first I'm going to give you the basic definition of what a zero day is, and then I'll go into the details as to what makes a zero day definition much more complicated. And the reason I'm sharing this is because if you are going to play in this cybersecurity game, you really need to know the rules. And when we look at 0 days, the rules are not necessarily clear. So here we go. First, the basic definition of a 0 day means only one thing: is the number of days a software or hardware vendor has to come up with a patch or an update that addresses a vulnerability, and the intent is to prevent this vulnerability from being exploited. What makes it complicated? So it begs the question when you hear the term 0 day in the news and people start sharing and reposting news about 0 day. So the question is how long it takes for you to know that a 0 day vulnerability exists. And this is what makes it complicated. Sometimes we hear 0 day and we think we're getting the news, firsthand, and this is the first time that the vulnerability exists, but it's not. Actually, a vulnerability can exist for a very long time. And one of the researches that I have looked into reveals that vulnerabilities, both hardware and software, mainly in software, they have a very long lifetime. It can take up to 7 years for a vulnerability to become publicly known. Now, it also depends who finds the vulnerabilities, and we have three options, at least from a United States perspective, and I'll go into that. So number one, if the vulnerability is discovered by a bad actor, what's going to happen next is, once the vulnerability is identified, the next step in the process is to design and develop an exploit. So normally these are called exploit kits, which is software code that is designed to take advantage of that flaw in the software. And that's why we're phishing, and I'm going to talk about phishing later in another post. But that's why phishing is so important, because some of these exploits do require the end user to click on something to complete or to initiate the action part of this exploit design. So that's one thing. So if a bad actor finds the the vulnerability, we may not hear from it. However, sometimes you may find groups of bad actors revealing vulnerabilities because they want to earn a badge. They want to demonstrate that they know what they're doing. But many times the things that they reveal are worthless, from the sense that maybe they already have a different exploit kit that takes advantage of that vulnerability as well. That's one thing. Second, if the person or team that discover is a good guy or a good gal, then there is a challenge. It's a matter of trying to define when and how and to who to reveal that the vulnerability exists. And the third group, and this is important to know in the definition, the US government has this process called the Vulnerabilities Equities Process, VEP. It's not a secret. They publish a document on what the VEP process looks like. And basically what this means is, if any of the agencies in a part of the US government discovers a vulnerability, it goes into this process, and lawmakers have to decide whether the vulnerability can be used as a weapon as part of law enforcement or intelligence gathering. If the vulnerability is found in one of the commercial off-the-shelf software and the government, through the VEP process, decides that they want to keep this vulnerability from being undisclosed publicly, then the vendor has no choice but do not patch the vulnerability. So again, when do you know about when a 0-day becomes publicly known? It depends on who finds the vulnerability. And in a future post, I'm going to discuss about what can you do to make sure that the systems and data that you have to protect are in the best shape possible from preventing a vulnerability from being exploited in your environment. Okay? All right. Thank you so much.